Pillars are one of the most disliked interactions in Rediscovery 2. It's a boring and tedious task right before the final boss fight that makes you stand in even more circles with no reward for doing them. But even though we all do hate pillars, that hatred fuels us to find any possible way we can to not have to do them at all. This is part 2 of every pillar skip in Rediscovery 2. Let's take a look at every new pillar skip found since the Secrets of the Storm DLC release, and also show off some skips that have been improved and simplified since the last pillar skip video, which was 3.5 years ago at this point. Momentum transferring in this game has been covered and expanded upon in much more depth in my Stomper tech discovery. However, for this video, we'll only bring up its most famous form. The H0st Skip, otherwise known as the Momentum Skip, was recently rediscovered in a new location after it had been thought to be completely patched out after the Secrets of the Storm physics update. Oh god, look at Snake, look at Snake. Okay, it's happening. It's happening. Yeah, so,
What?
Yeah, so H0st Skip is kind of back.
Okay.
Surprise! And I'm going to cover every version of it, starting with the Head Stompers variant. If we line ourselves up with the end of this curved wall, all we have to do is press and hold jump and fall off the side. As long as you look a bit to the right and find a consistent wall texture to look at, all you have to do is make sure you're sprinting forward during the spawn back, and also not hug too close to the wall. If done correctly, a single H0st skip is all that's needed to reach the top of the arena. Since Artie hovers if you hold jump, we'll instead go into our settings and set toggle Artificer hover to true. This will allow us to hold jump just like a normal survivor's H0st skip, without stopping our downwards momentum with the hover. Unlike the old H0st skip, bigger survivor models are unable to gain the trimp when being spawned back, meaning Acrid, Multi, Loader, and False Sun are unable to use this new version of the H0st skip. Seeker with the Unseen Hand, Sojourn, and Palm Blast loadout. Here is a very common resting point on the tree that we will see a lot throughout this video for skill cooldown refreshing, and in this case, health regenerating. This is the least mobile loadout for Seeker, and this is one of 2 ways that Seeker can get up to the branches with this loadout itemless. This way will require healing of some form in order to travel further in Sojourn, whether that be your passive regen, or items like Bungus and Slug. Now if you don't have the damage reduction or healing to make this setup useful in a reasonable amount of time, there is a H0st skip setup that can be used to get up to the branches that doesn't require you to spend any health with Sojourn. The setup is exactly like the Stomper setup we covered earlier, but now we don't have to hold jump since that is a Stomper specific tech. This setup is also usable on Huntress and Bandit as well if they have a Volcanic Egg, which can be used to get up to the branches. However, we'll see later on why it's redundant to do this H0st skip setup on Huntress and Bandit with Volcanic Egg. Rex H0st skip with safer spaces. This skip is pretty straightforward, so I just want to reiterate that the safer spaces is not needed if you are on Monsoon or below, unless you aren't wanting to break your consumable items and take a significant amount of damage during the skip. Safer spaces is only required on Eclipse 3 or higher when fall damage becomes lethal for any of these non-head stomper H0st skip setups. Safer spaces can also be substituted in these scenarios by damage reduction items and equipments like Jade Elephant, Opals, and so on. Void Fiend H0st skip with safer spaces. The biggest tips for this setup is just to make sure you're using Suppress to keep from growing into corrupted form, charge your secondary as soon as it comes off cooldown, and make sure you're sprinting when using Trespass to get the most height out of it. Railgunner H0st Skip with safer spaces and primary only. Railgunner H0st Skip with safer spaces, primary, and mines only. One thing to note for this setup is that if you store 2 charges of your mines and use both in very quick succession, the first of the 2 mines you threw out will explode mid-air, allowing for even more of an upwards momentum boost. Railgunner with mines, primary, 1 Mocha, and 1 Hoof. Railgunner with mines, primary, cryo charge, and 1 Mocha. Railgunner with primary, 6 syringes, and 1 Mocha. Moving on to non-H0st Skip setups, Seeker with the Unseen Hand, Sojourn, and Meditate loadout. We only used Unseen Hand in these Seeker pillar skips because the alternative Soul Spiral is a better air stall anyways, so Unseen Hand is the lesser skill for any setup. Once we begin stalling on the outside of this prong, we will be colliding with these 2 edge stripes to stop our fall as much as possible. It's a strategy we'll see used in future setups as well, but it's pretty much just getting snagged on terrain edges in order to regen our skill and equipment cooldowns without falling too much. Seeker with Reprieve only. False Sun with Club Slam only. This skip requires the game to think you are constantly in the air while you are in the slamming animation. There have been a few different locations found, but if you slam into this crack in a specific angle, you can get caught in the terrain without technically landing on the ground. Now that we're lodged in here, we begin the slam storage. We trick the game into thinking we're falling, which when in the slam animation, scales the slam's player knockback for a fraction of the distance we made the game think we fell. This means, if we store our slam for about 30 seconds at the minimum, we will have enough knockback to reach the top of the arena completely. False Sun with 4 Brainstalks and Laser Burst. False Sun with 11 charges of Laser Burst, either from Growth or Lysates. Chef with roll only. More speed items will make this skip a bit easier, but too much speed and you might have to go for a direct setup to the top of the arena instead. Make sure to conserve your roll's built-in jump for the last bit of height at the end to get around the arena lip easier. Chef with Oil Spill and Volcanic Egg. Now the reason I said that Huntress and Bandit had no reason to use the H0st Skip setup with Volcanic Egg to get to the branches was because Volcanic Egg can make it up to the branches on its own. And for the next few Volcanic Egg setups, we will just start here at the arena prongs for that reason. Artie with Flamethrower and Volcanic Egg. Mando with Slide and Volcanic Egg. Commando with Roll, 3 Mocha, and Volcanic Egg. This has the potential to be done with less speed items, but I couldn't get it in testing. Rex with Volcanic Egg. Bandit with Volcanic Egg. Huntress with Phase Blink, Arrow Rain, and Volcanic Egg. For Huntress testing, we will be using Arrow Rain as much as possible in our setups since it has less air stall duration compared to Ballista. Again, we clip against these stripes as much as possible. I found that if I looked in the specific direction I know I clipped previously, it became a lot more consistent to stall my descent. Huntress with Blink, Ballista, and 1 Lysate cell. One thing to make sure you are doing is to be sprinting when you use your Blink. This will increase the distance it travels compared to a walking Blink. Mercenary with Uppercut and any other skills. As long as you have Uppercut, you can basically just look up and spam your abilities as they come off cooldown, remembering to be sprinting when you use your dash for more distance. Yes, this skip took over 2.5 minutes. Mercenary with Whirlwind, Blinding Assault, Slicing Winds, and 1 Hoof. This is the least capable loadout for Mercenary to skip pillars, so any other skills will make this even easier. Now for this next Whirlwind trimp, I used a specific prong on the rescue ship end of the stage to use a wall texture as a reference for when I want to use Whirlwind. You can easily mistime and misangle this trimp and not get enough height from it, so a visual reference comes in really handy. Railgunner with mines and primary only. Itemless Acrid with Caustic Leap. Once you get to the outside of the prongs, It's basically just farming as many edge stalls as you can until your leap's cooldowns are both nearly recharged and you're positioned high enough but not too high on the prong before leaping outwards. Acrid with Frenzied Leap, and 2 Hoof. This has the potential to be done with less speed items, but I couldn't get it in testing. And it wouldn't be a complete video if Loader wasn't given justice. Itemless Loader setups. The Big Swing setup. This setup can be done from a standstill outside of the tunnel, so it is not necessary to do in one fluid motion. The Stomper Big Swing setup. For this, we need to not press our jump key until the upwards movement of the big swing. This will transfer our Head Stomper's extra jump height momentum with our big swing momentum, something again covered far more in depth in my Head Stomper tech discovery. And with that, we wrap up part 2 of the Every Pillar Skip in Risk of Rain 2 series. Make sure to reference part 1 of this series for a lot more setups, and let me know in the comments if there are any I missed, or if there's one that completely caught you off guard. A big thanks to our community for testing so many extraordinary ways for skipping pillars, so make sure to check out all of their videos I referenced throughout this guide in the description for even more niche, interesting pillar skip setups. This series is surely to return after the Alloyed Collective DLC release for a part 3, but until then, make sure to subscribe for more informative guides, and thanks for learning.